Listen to me. If there was a wise man who would ever think of this, they would say in order to be superior to the man, you've got to be the man. For I am the man himself.
What is going on, and good evening. This is the Club of the Man 1993. As always, guys, in order to be superior to the man, you've got to be the man. Yes, I apologize. I don't sound super enthusiastic, but I'll be real, guys. I am tired. I am very tired. Again, life just, when it's loaded, you got a lot going on, you're busy, and you like to do things on the side for fun. It is nuts. So I really should not be doing a late review like this because I feel like these aren't my best reviews. But I'm still going to go through it, talk about this episode of Raw pretty quickly, and then we will go from there. Before I did do this live review, I did record my turn alert for a certain Hall of Famer who turned heel on this episode of Raw. I will upload that after I do this stream. But after that, I'm done for tonight. I am pooped. I mean, absolutely pooped. But I'm here. I'm going to talk about Raw. And, of course, talk about another little piece of news before I get started. And then we will roll from there. I'll first do the introduction, give my overall thoughts, read this little piece of news that came out today, and then we will just go from there. So, if I can, hang on. Where is it? Aha, here we go. Okay, just so I have it. So this week's episode of Raw, the April 10th, 2023 edition, we're on the road to WWE's Backlash 2023. Yeah, just Backlash, not WrestleMania Backlash like Cody Rhodes said. It was a little intimidating to hear at first, but the commercials kept saying Backlash. And there's some other news regarding the man who would call the show WrestleMania Backlash, if he was still fully back in charge. But I'll read that in a second here. This show did have some rewrites to it. But it was not because of Vince, as Vince was not at this show. The rewrites were because there was about half of the roster, apparently, were having some travel issues. Some showed up late. Apparently, Matt Riddle and Sami Zayn coming out at the end of the show was them legitimately showing up late because they weren't able to get in. So there was a lot of changes that had to be done because of the travel issues. You can tell, though, that Triple H took care of those rewrites because Raw wasn't like poppin' awesome, but tons better than last week's show. So the grade I gave it, I'm cutting it a little bit of slack. There wasn't too much must-see on this show. But we had some things teased, some things planted, some things that could set up for stuff moving forward. So no, it did not insult my intelligence. And I'm still hoping last week's Raw was a fluke thing. But once again, even though there's a news report I want to read about him, I just don't trust him. Hashtag fire Vince, get it trending. I'll check the live chat very fast. I do want to get moving here. We got Wrestling News 365. We've got Tyler, and we also got Mark as well. What's up, boys? I'm doing pretty good. Just tired. Tyler's simple pledge of split the world and tag titles and get rid of the women's tag titles. I agree. Are we going to have Trish versus Becky at SummerSlam? Yes, and I'll get to that in a little bit. Tyler gets the hashtag Fire Vince started. Yes, definitely keep that trending, guys. Do not quit on that. Mark was expecting the heel turn to happen during the match. Me too. Happened after, though, but it still happened. We'll talk about that. Wonder why Brock Lesnar wasn't on Raw. Brock's not always there, and he could have had travel issues also. And I agree. Vince needs to stay away from the WWE. Hopefully I get through this. So sorry about that, guys. But anyways, the piece of news I want to quickly read over before we get to the Raw review. It talks about the little clauses in Vince McMahon's new contract. So, for those who do not know, Vince McMahon did indeed sign a 2-year deal as executive chairman of the board. But it is retroactive to when he returned to WWE back on January 9th, 2023. But anyways, there's more details that came out of his new contract. Again, he signed at the end of March, just a few days before the Endeavor Group had acquired the company. As of now, until the sale goes through, he remains the controlling shareholder of the company at $4.7 million. But that is going to change once the sale goes through this coming summer. The deal speculates that he will serve as executive chairman for 2 years from his start date of January 9th, 2023. As reported, though, Vince continues employment shall be conditioned on compliance with WWE's Conflict of Interest and Conduct Code and their equal opportunity and non-harassment policy, which is two big things, of course, that Vince McMahon has been known for, not giving equal opportunities, but also his harassment. Because we all know Vince gets away with whatever he wants to get away. But now Ari Emanuel's trying to put a stop to this. I hope that's the case. The clause in the deal comes after Vince walked away from WWE last summer after being investigated by the board of directors for hush money payments made by him to women with whom he had affairs. The day after WrestleMania 39, it was announced the Endeavor will be acquiring WWE with the plan to merge it with the UFC to form a company. Although the WWE board didn't want Vince to return to the company in December, Vince pushed his way back in, which is very true. However, though, and again, I still think this is still bullshit, but they continue to still say that Endeavor CEO, Ari Emanuel, has stated that he is the one who wanted Vince to stay on once the acquisition had been complete. That, I still say, is complete BS right there. I still do not believe for 1 second that Ari Daivari asked Vince McMahon to stay. I just can't find any part of me to believe that statement. But it is good to hear that there's like a couple little clauses. Equal opportunity, non-harassment, conduct of code. So it's obvious that Endeavor does have their eyes on Vince. But like everything else I could continue to say, Vince McMahon sometimes finds a way around everything. Everything. So this little clauses, I just still gotta say it doesn't completely have me like satisfied. Okay, Vince is never coming back. It's good to hear though that they are trying to put, some like type of like structure, some ground rules on him. He can't be interfering with the creative team. Yes, he can give his input, but At the end of the day, the person who is still the chief content executive or chief content officer is Triple H himself. I mean, there's been some things, obviously, like, you know, promos changing from pro wrestling to sports entertainment. Cody Rhodes did botch saying WrestleMania Backlash, so he said a Backlash. You know Vince wants to call it WrestleMania Backlash. So, there's just all that there. But, again, if this comes out that there's some more structure to Vince's contract, then awesome. But like I keep saying, as always, though, is you can't distrust the guy. He always seems to find some sort of way around it. But I just wanted to address that really, really fast. Really fast. But we're going to talk about Raw like pretty quickly. Like I said, I am tired. I am pooped. But I will briefly go through it to at least get my Raw review done with. And again, like I said, for having to use... for having to, have some last minute change due to the travel plans, again, it was still a solid show, I'll give it. The show opened up with Rey Mysterio coming in and saying how it's been a crazy year with a lot of ups and downs. I think should have been his dream come true going to the Hall of Fame, but instead he ended up facing his own son. And even though he agreed to fight him, he really wants things to be different. Basically, things back to normal with his son. Dom comes out and says how the Judgment Day is his real family, and he's moved on. And Ray says, they're useless idiots who are just using you, Dom. And Dom's like, no, you're the selfish one here because nothing else matters if he doesn't get what he wants. And he claims he should have won at WrestleMania if it weren't for Bad Bunny. Of course, last week, he took it easy on his father. Now he's blaming Bad Bunny. And then, of course, also he's, getting on Ray for hitting his own son. So basically, Dom wanted Ray to hit him. But then once Ray did, he called child abuse. Basically. Anyways, though, so basically, Ray says, though, that Bad Bunny is going to be back soon after Dom says, whatever happened to Bad Bunny last week is going to happen to you. But then Ray says Bad Bunny will indeed be back. And he challenges him to a WrestleMania rematch. And Dom's like, nah, but I know somebody else who will. And out came Finn Balor. Now, apparently, though, originally, they were going to have Damian Priest address Bad Bunny, since they do have a history as tag partners, but Damian Priest was one person who had some travel issues and was not able to make it in. But instead we had Ray and Finn, and the match was good. We saw it a couple times, though, last summer. What was I going to say? I know there was some concerns, though, because of the staples in Finn's head, but thanks to, I think Dom tried tossing in the brass knuckles. Ray turned around and decked his own son on the apron. But then eventually, Dom got involved and took out Ray when the referee was not looking. And it led to Finn getting a victory over the Hall of Famer. Which is good. Like I said, though, is I can tell they were a little concerned about Finn's health. But he got by good, we can say here. Bump that button there. I think we're good here. Okay. Anyways, so then we have Alpha Academy. Chad Gable talk about how Otis is hyped and ready, and Maxine Dupree rolls up to complain that Chad looks like a gremlin or something. So obviously, again, he wants. They're still kind of fighting over, who gets him, Chad or Maxine Dupree. We get Otis from Alpha Academy or Otis from the Maximum Male Models. We then have a backstage also showing that Lita was attacked and she would not be able to compete on Raw tonight in the women's tag title match. But then Trish Stratus stepped up and said she'll help Becky defend her titles tonight against Liv and Raquel. They had the match. They tried. They really, really did try. Had some solid moments. it was just not one of the best matches I've ever seen before. It was a little sloppy. There was some botches in there. But the interesting part comes towards the end. Liv rolls up Trish to get the win. Afterwards, after the new tag champs exit, though, Becky and Trish, getting back in the ring. Becky helps up Trish, who looked disappointed, and Becky raises Trish's arm, and then they chat, and then basically it was like, "I'm sorry," and Becky's like, "It's okay, don't worry about it." But as Becky's leaving the ring, Trish turns heel, as we predicted, of course, for a while. And it was pretty obvious that Trish was going to turn on Becky tonight after Lita was attacked. It was pretty obvious that it was Trish who attacked her. Unless if this is kind of a setup and eventually Lita's going to turn on Becky, I don't know. I didn't really talk about that in my turn alert. Forgot about that, I'm sorry. But, anyways. So she takes her out with the forearm strike, and then Trish just chilling in the ring waiting for Becky to get up. And then she hits a chick kick and walks away. Of course, then after the commercial break, Byron was trying to get a word from Trish as to why she did what she did, but Trish just didn't even look at him, gave him a cold shoulder, walked right past, and kept going. We'll see, of course, what they do, because again, the rumors have it they're building towards the match for them to be at SummerSlam. But of course, we still got a couple shows till then. We've got Backlash. We've got King of the Ring. We've also got Money in the Bank, and then SummerSlam. So 4 shows, basically, in between. Like I said, I'm interested to see how they will do that. Because like I said, my turn alert. Maybe Trish will go away for a little bit. We won't get an answer as to why. And then eventually, at I don't know, King of the Ring or Money in the Bank, she will return, attack Becky, cost her probably maybe they'll have Becky be a finalist in the Queen of the Ring tournament, and maybe Trish will cost Becky her crown. And as I keep saying, I think the simple story to start off this feud is by Trish to admit that it bothered her whenever Lita chose to win the tag titles with Becky instead of her. Or it could be something completely different, but we'll have to wait and see. And by the way, this is the first time in 18 years, apparently, that Trish has been a heel. So again, it will be interesting to see what character development she gets, because now she's stepping out of the shadow as the legend returning for a dream match. No, she's actually getting a little more character development with this heel turn. So we'll see what happens if she explains herself next week on Raw, or if she makes us wait. We'll have to wait and see. Paul Heyman gave some insight on Brock Lesnar's actions on Cody Rhodes. But instead, he chose to talk about Kevin Owens' match tonight against Solo Sikoa. Sammy and Riddle aren't here tonight, and he claims that is because they're afraid of Solo, when in reality they were having travel plans. We also get a recap of Triple H announcing the draft. And then we get this interesting backstage segment with Damage Control. Bayley came out of the locker room, so you can calm down on the Bayley's leaving rumors. She came out of the locker room, and she addressed her teammates, Dakota Kai and Io Sky. And she's like, I tried to give you guys another shot for the tag titles, but Pierce was preoccupied with the draft. But he did give her a spot in this number 1 contenders triple threat match. But then Io and Dakota were like, wait a minute. This has always been about you. What about us? And Bayley's like, okay, I'll go talk to Pierce and see what we can do. Which does eventually lead to Io Sky getting the opportunity instead. And she would go on to win the triple threat match with Mia Yim and Piper Niven to become the new number 1 contender for the Raw Women's Championship. I don't know if they'll do this one on Raw, or if they will indeed wait to Backlash instead of having my prediction of a rematch with Bianca and Asuka. Of course, Asuka is a heel now. We could be getting Bianca and Io, which would still be a fantastic match. And hey, if something happens, Io would win the title. We could get that dream match with Io and Asuka. Just saying. Bobby Lashley took on Bronson Reed. This is basically like a Haas fight setting up for something more. It was a good big man match. Again, the build is going to seem very similar to what Keith Lee and Dijak did in NXT. I know it's not going to be a complete opposite, because I know Bobby Lashley and Bronson Reed are not meant for the agility, they're meant for their power. That's going to be an interesting little feud. Like I said, I predicted them doing a last man standing match because they both couldn't keep each other down. And they got to let them fight chant after that. So again, it's basically how over Keith Lee and Dijakovic got in NXT because of their series of matches. And this, I think, got a lot of people's attention as well. So I'm looking forward to see what they do with Bobby Lashley and Bronson Reed. Then we have Cody coming out. Says, usual, what do you and folks in Seattle want to talk about? And he says he almost always has a singular focus, from Seth Rollins to WrestleMania and finishing the story. It's a bit cloudy, so he wants to unzip this dress and navigate the fog together. At WrestleMania 39, under the bright lights of the main event, he lost to the Tribal Chief. Roman Reigns, in a polarizing moment in WWE history, he would like to blame to be put squarely on him. He lost, and he did not calculate nor adjust to the lengths Roman would go. And with that, he said he's sorry. His dear friend Matt, which some people wonder if it's either Matt Jackson or if it's Matt Cardona, he told him two things. Being in the main event is a win in itself, and do wins and losses even matter? Absolutely they do. What's the point in stealing the show if you don't win the prize? It's legends and Hall of Famers who have told their stories that say this. The other thing is they heard to his ears from Mr. Paul Heyman, or as I call him recently, Roman Reigns Nagini, was that Cody is to ever challenge for the title again, he's got to earn it. That refutes dismisses not just his whole career, but his whole life. Earn it? I am it. And now the unfinished tale of the whole ring to it, which is in the form of Brock Lesnar. He basically trashed on Brock for a few minutes before challenging him to a match at Backlash. And again, not WrestleMania Backlash, Backlash. So that was a great promo, hyping up all of that. Again, Cody Rhodes, again, I just need to say this. Any situation he's been thrown at him with the crowd reacting, he's taken with it, he's rolled with it. I still think he's probably going to beat Brock at Backlash, which is in my card predictions, and he will eventually fight Roman again at SummerSlam. And I keep saying, this is just him, getting that babyface momentum built up, showing some struggle, have a reason to want to see him take out the Tribal Chief, and he will be great. We also got word that Logan Paul resigned again. Can't stand the guy, but as long as he's putting on good matches, then I'd rather have him on my TV than Vince. The Usos beat Alpha Academy in a pretty solid match. Then EO won that triple threat match with a nice looking moonsault. And then the main event was Kevin Owens and Solo Sikoa. Again, we've seen it how many times, but again, with the travel issues, is what they're limited to. Off a distraction, Solo won with a Samoan Spike. And then afterwards, Sami Zayn and Matt Riddle arrive at the arena. They come down and scare off the Usos. So I predicted Matt Riddle taking on Solo one-on-one. And since the Usos pinned Sami last week, I think it should be in line for them to get a rematch for the tag titles. So that's why I am lost train of thought there. That's my thoughts and predictions on all of that. And that is Raw, guys. Again, I gave it a little bit better. It was more decent, but I gave it a solid B-. Because again, I'm intrigued by a few things on this show. So, shows like this, I can tolerate. Hopefully a little more awake, though, next time. But guys, I would read your stuff in the live chat, guys, but I am beat. I'm going to go take a shower and just get ready for bed. So I gave the show a B- out of a courtesy. Again, Triple H did a solid job for what he had to work with. on this show. Put on a solid, decent show. But yeah, B-. What are your thoughts, guys? Leave your thoughts down in the comment section below. Be sure as always to slap a like on the video and subscribe for more content on my channel. Follow me on Twitter at the Club of the Man 93. Also follow me on TikTok and Instagram at the Club of the Man 1993. Until then, guys, I'm checking out. I'll catch y'all later. I'm beat. I'm tired. Have a great rest of your night. Peace out, buddy. Wait a minute. I didn't do that exit right. That's my old exit. You can tell I'm tired. But just remember, guys, in order to be superior to the man, you've got to be the man. And for I am the man himself. Now you may go. See you all later.